Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the very special Hasbro Marvel Legends series, Hasbro PulseCon exclusive. This is the Retro Spider-Man, the animated series Venom. So very exciting. I already have the figure out of the shipper box, so here it is here. This is the figure that I'm going to be reviewing and opening up and tearing open the package on camera for you guys to see. I know it's going to be heartbreaking. But here's the awesome shipper box. You know, the shipper boxes, we've seen them with various different retro carded figures, whether it was the Doctor Doom that came out last year, or the X-Force Deadpool, which actually had some special things going on with the shipper box. I think there was just something on the back, but like the San Diego Comic-Con Hulk, the Gray Hulk figure, they all had the shipper boxes. So not all of them get it, but some figures do, and it's usually a white box. This Venom gets a very special design one here, so we get like kind of the silhouette or shape of Venom's face. You know, we don't get the full outline, but we see his eyes and we see the cell shade effect type of thing that was in the Spider-Man the animated series, how Venom was drawn and colored in. So we get red, a lot of red shading, blue shading, and then a little bit of purple where those colors might come together, and then the green like slime coming out of his mouth. That is freaking awesome. I absolutely love this shipper box. But I mean, do you really need the shipper box? Is it that important? Kind of, sort of. Let me see if let me put this light on, see if this helps. But anyway, here on the side we get that spot varnish, and it says Venom there, looking really cool. It's just done all in black, so it's kind of hard to see. But looking at the back of the package, we get that outline, that design of Venom from the animated series. That looks absolutely amazing. I absolutely love the way that looks. It's actually the same artwork that you see here of Venom, so that is just the outline there on the back of the package, and it's really, really nice. It's done pretty damn awesome. And then the back on the bottom, not a whole lot going there, but awesome shipper box. But it is, again, just the box. It's not that big of a deal. But here is the actual figure with the card and everything, and it just looks amazing. You can see here we get an interchangeable head, we get some additional hands. It just looks incredible. Here, the artwork there of Venom just looks great. And it says Symbiote Menace. So I guess that's supposed to be the gimmick type of thing. But Spider-Man Retro ToyBiz card back. And at least with this one, this is the first official, 100% official Spider-Man the animated series figure. Whereas all the other ones, the card may resemble and be a throwback to the animated series. But make no mistake about it, all those figures were comic-based figures and not based on the show. This one is, and it is very exciting. So here you can see interchangeable head would be the kind of the gimmick they got going on. And the bio reads, a shiny, slithering alien symbiote bonds with hapless reporter Eddie Brock and transforms him into Venom, one of Spider-Man's most dangerous foes. So I'm going to rip this open on camera for you guys. I know, it's beautiful. Like, I don't want to, but I have a second one, so I already have it hanging on the wall and everything, so no big deal opening this up. And there it is. And it looks great. I'm not a fan of cell shading, but at least with this, it's blue and red as opposed to like random black throughout, or gray, I guess, since, you know, it would be different, but it just looks incredible. We always wanted Venom on the Omega Red body mold, and here we have it, and it does not disappoint. So let's get him set up. Oh my god, this figure, it's just a delight. It's just a pleasure to have this thing. It's got some obvious flaws, and not to minimize them, because they're kind of a big deal. So this Venom design, the back of his hand, you would have the trapezoid or whatever, right? So we the comic figures, we got that. We did not get that on this figure. And in the animated series, I believe he did have them on the back of his hands. Why we did not get them, I don't actually know. Whether that's a simple oversight in design and development of the figure, or to keep the cell shade on the back of the hands, I don't know. It's not the end of the world to me, but yes, it is not accurate, and yes, that does suck. However, I think all the positives and the goods of the figure outweigh that, but I do understand that it sucks. The other thing is the big ass peg holes in the shoulders. So this figure with which Warpath and Omega Red had shoulder pads and things that would go over there, and they would pour it in and you wouldn't see those peg holes. Now this was explained after it was revealed. Toy Shiz revealed it, and then I think there was a Fan First Friday live stream event where Dwight addressed why there are those peg holes there. And because the Omega Red was being re-released in that Wolverine box set, they ran into a capacity issue where they could not or did not have the additional tooling and available molds to alter them to fill in those peg holes. So that sucks. Whether it's just bad timing or however that might works, yes, it sucks. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. Like right here, can you even really tell that those peg holes are there? No, probably not. But there are going to be poses where, yeah, you're going to see those peg holes, and yeah, you're probably not going to like it. Like there, I get it. That sucks. For me, it's not as big a deal. I'm not a photographer. I can't make magic happen with a camera like a lot of folks can. So for them, it's going to suck more. And I get it. But for me, it's really not that much of a problem. But just looking at it. I mean, looking at the figure like in front of me is one thing. I'm looking at the viewfinder of my camera, and it's like the cartoon is on. I'm watching this little tiny screen, and I'm looking at this figure, and it's like he's jumping right out of the TV screen with the cell shade. And I don't like cell shade, but I think it's just the color on this that makes the difference for me. Which I know is weird. Had it been like gray or blue shading on there for the cell shade, I probably would have hated it. But I love how different the blue and red is, because every time Venom was on screen in the show, you always had the blue and red on him. So this just looks like crazy to me. And I'm just like extremely happy to have it. So yeah, just what an awesome figure. But let's take a closer look at some of the details of the figure, like the cell shading and stuff. But man, I love this thing. Okay, so here's an up-close look at Venom. And just, doesn't that just look awesome? He has that really, like, over-exaggerated jaw, and the way the lips are just all thick. That was, like, a key design of the animated series, and I just see it in this head sculpt so much. The way the eyes are, the wrinkles between the eyes and everything. It's not super smooth, you know, like the symbiote would. Just looks incredible with the tongue sticking out, the teeth looking good. Oh, just freaking awesome. I love the way it looks, even the split end tongue. Man, it looks good. The spider logo looks really good as well. And one thing, and it's kind of like crazy to see this. So normally you would have the white on there, and then they would paint the black lines. So they do the full spider of the white and then paint those black lines. For this, it looks like the spider is all paint, including the separate legs of the spider. So those black lines, I think, are the plastic and not paint. Because when looking closely at it, you could see like the thickness of the paint on top of the chest. And I think that's awesome. And they get it pretty good. It looks like some brush strokes kind of in the white, which is a little bit different, something that you wouldn't normally see when it comes to Marvel Legends figures because of the way that paint is typically applied. It's all very smooth. You know, it could get fuzzy on some of the straight lines and stuff, but we really don't see that here. So that is interesting, but I love the fact that the black lines, it's not paint, it's the actual plastic. So all of the white is all painted, so all these separate lines, and it's done nicely, like, which is pretty incredible. But the spider logo itself looks really good. Looking on the back, same thing, just looks incredible. Man, it looks really good. And I think, you know, the legs kind of go down. It's not as spread out here on the back, but I think that's because of the butterfly joints there. But looking at the cell shading, we get blue and red even on the back there, back of the legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 spots on the back of the figure. If you count the back of these biceps, you get a little bit too. But it's all in the front. So even on the feet, the legs going up, even the kneecaps get a little bit. It's like every section you're actually seeing some. So love that, you know, the right side, if you look at it from this point of view, you see nothing but red, which is pretty awesome. And then you turn the figure this way, you see nothing but blue. That is really cool because in the show, you know, the red was coming from this side, blue was coming from this side. So that's why on the inside of the leg here, where you got red on the outside, blue is going to be on the inside. But where blue is on the outside, you're going to get red on the inside. So it's really cool how that looks. But even, you know, when you turn it, I think that's just awesome how that actually comes out looking, where you got the blue and you got the red. But it just looks, again, really nice together. And man, and it's just weird because I don't really like cell shading. Like not Spider-Man, the X-Men animated series figures, it's cool. I really like that Wolverine. I don't care for the cell shading. The head sculpts look fantastic, and I'm digging the new claws. I don't like the cell shading. The Mr. Sinister, I love the head sculpt, and the new paint that they did to it just looks pretty crazy. I am not a fan of the cell shading. I'm still going to get them because I still think they're really cool because they're officially X-Men the animated series. But it's the cell shading that really throws it off for me. And I know a lot of folks aren't a fan, or if they're a fan of cell shading, they really like it on like Transformers. I mean, I wouldn't know, but you know, it is what it is. Like the Mafex or Mafex comic Spider-Man, there was a cell shaded version that came out. I never got that because I'm like, I don't want that cell shaded stuff. So it's just, cell shading is not my thing, but for this it works. It works on this only because of the red and blues. But yeah, just, oh man, I'm loving this thing. Really, really nice. He does come with an interchangeable head sculpt, so we're going to pop that off. It came off extremely easy, by the way. And then we have this other one where the tongue is not out. Ball peg. Oh, there we go. Snap on there. Oh, and that looks really good there. So his tongue is kind of curled in there, as you could see. Comes out the side kind of there, but it's just not sticking out like on this head sculpt. So it's similar, but there are some differences in there. But man, that just looks really, really good. I forgot to mention this earlier. These forearms are new, so we get this like symbiote pattern there, and this was actually from the show, and I didn't remember it while watching it. But it's pretty cool that on the forearm there you kind of get this like veiny, almost like web look of the symbiote around his forearms. So that is pretty cool. But yeah, there is Venom, and yeah, man, I'm loving it. So let's take a look at his articulation now. Okay, let's see what Venom can do. So Venom, with this head sculpt, he can only look down that much. Looking up, you can get him to look all the way up, but I'm telling you right now that I'm basically popping that head sculpt off of the ball peg because the hinge, if you hinge it all the way back, it's really just going to take it off. But it's good that you can get a lot of motion in there. The arm shoulder, you can get it to go straight out. You get a full rotation in there, of course. There is the butterfly joint, so you can get the arm to go back that far, which is great. And you can get him to go cross body a little bit there, as you can see. So that works out quite nicely. Let me get that shoulder back in place. It does kind of stick in some parts on this left shoulder. The right didn't seem to have that issue on the butterfly joint. We have an upper bicep swivel in there, a double jointed elbow, which gives us a tiny bit more than 90 degrees, but the biceps large, the forearms large, so they do run into each other and hit. Wrist swivel, and we do hinge. We have the clawed hands on this guy, and then again, he does come with interchangeable fists. We have an ab crunch, so he can crunch forward that much. He can go back that much, and the white paint of the spider logo there continues on, so that is good. You have a waist swivel in there. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward pretty damn high, as you can see there. You have an upper thigh cut in there. He's got some thick ass quads. Double jointed knee, like so. No calf swivel, but foot hinges all the way down. Hinges up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. And this hinge actually feels a little loose. It's not terrible, it's not flopping around, but that hinge is easier than any other foot that I've had seen on a Marvel Legends before. So the ratcheting in there is just a little bit loose. So not sure if that's going to affect him trying to stand in certain type of poses, but there was his articulation. Now let's go ahead and see some comparisons. Okay, so here's a size comparison with Venom with the Retro Spider-Man from the Retro Wave 1. As you can see, That is a very big size difference, and I like that. I think that is really good. He might be a tad big. I think the action figure, the Venom, was actually quite small in comparison. But Venom should be bigger than Spider-Man, so that does work. Remember, you know, Eddie Brock is basically like bodybuilder type size of a human. And the symbiote does add, I think, a little bit of height and bulkiness to him, of course. But for the most part, Eddie Brock was, you know, Eddie Brock. He's just a larger guy. But these two look really good together. But let's see with this Venom how he looks compared to some other Venom figures. Okay, so there's been a number of Venom figures, whether it's Venomized versions of a few characters, Gwen Stacy, Miles Morales, Captain America, or like Superior Venom, even Black Costume Spider-Man. Lots of different Venom figures. But the ones that we've gotten, like the Monster Venom wave and then the Absorbing Man wave, they use the Hyperion body mold, which I think was an okay choice to use. I hate the Hyperion body mold. The chest sticks out like crazy. The legs are kind of wonky. I'm just not the biggest fan of that body mold. So it's nice to get a new Venom figure that is not on that body mold. When the Omega Red figure had released, I think a lot of people were saying, man, we should get Venom on this body mold. And, you know, the Omega Red body mold has only been used 3 times. This makes number 4. And 2 of those figures are Omega Red since we got the reissue or repainted version in that Wolverine 5-pack. So it's pretty crazy, like dreams come true with what everybody had wanted and hoped for, and it happened. And I'm really liking the size of this guy because, like, compared to the Hyperion body mold, that is a huge size difference. Now, the Monster Venom Build-A-Figure, well, this is the deluxe release. This isn't the Monster Venom figure itself. But height-wise, depending on how you crunch Monster Venom, it actually gets kind of close in size. But obviously, you know, bulkiness is a whole different thing. But what I am curious about, and I'm sure everyone's going to want to know, some head swaps. So I will see if Eddie Brock head will fit on this new Venom figure. And then, I don't know, the heads, tried them on a Hyperion body mold? Or those heads onto the... I don't know. You guys like head swaps. It's not really my thing. But I like to try a couple of them every now and then when I feel like it really makes sense. So let's take a look at those. Okay, so there we go. I popped the Eddie Brock head sculpt on there. It popped on just fine. No issues whatsoever. But it looks a little funky. I always thought this head sculpt looked kind of large on Hyperion body mold. But then it looks kind of tiny on this body mold. I think you can kind of fudge it and make it work. I don't think this was how Eddie Brock looked in the animated series. I'd have to go back and double check how he looked. But I thought he had brown hair in it. Maybe he had blonde hair, and I just don't really remember. But, you know, I think you can kind of fudge it, and you can kind of make this work if that's something that you wanted to try. Okay, so here is one of the Sandman Venom head sculpts popped on there. It pops on there just fine. Like from the side profile, I think that works. It looks pretty good. But when I think you're looking at it straight on, it just doesn't quite look right. We have a very wide figure, but the head is not so wide. It's very narrow in comparison. But the side view, I think it could look fantastic. Now the colors aren't exact, whereas this one is more of an actual black color. Whereas this Venom figure, I wouldn't say it's like black, but it kind of looks like a very, very dark gray, if that makes any sense. Like I would still call it black, I guess, but when you compare it to this, where you got maybe like a jet black, but here it's like a slightly faded black kind of thing. Let's go with that. And then for those curious, can these heads fit on the Hyperion one? Yes, it doesn't pop on there as nicely, and I think it's because the peg hole for the port for the ball peg is a little bit deeper into the head, and here it's just not going to work because of the thickness of the Hyperion neck. So you could push down a little bit and it doesn't quite get on there, and it's kind of big. Like side, you know, maybe it looks okay. But overall, it does look a little bit big compared to like the neck, not compared to the chest. So it doesn't quite work. I think it's too tall this way for this particular body. You know, you might be able to fudge it in certain things, but Not a big fan of the way it looks. the Deluxe Venom figure, the head sculpt, it kind of rests on there, doesn't really pop on. But you could do that, and no, I don't think that looks good. So we're gonna go with a Gnaw dog on that one. So we'll do that, and then the last one. Let's see the Monster Venom head onto this new body, if that works. And it pops on there and looks like that. And nah, that ain't gonna work. But if you could do something like this, that wouldn't be so bad. If you can kind of fudge it, right? If you're just looking at it straight on, that could work. But nah, but yeah, but nah, but yeah. You just have to kind of use your imagination a little bit. You know, those that in photography could do some trick things to kind of make that work. You know, I think it's like getting the what is it? The perspective right. And yeah, so that's kind of fun to do. Okay, and here is the last final look at the Venom figure. And this thing is truly an incredible figure. Hopefully you guys were able to get your order in immediately following the Hasbro PulseCon event on day 2. Because this one is truly a special figure. I think folks in Canada, GameStop, were taking pre-orders. So I don't know if that meant additional quantities that were becoming available for those in Canada. I would say always keep an eye on Hasbro Pulse in case they do a random drop of additional quantities on the Venom. He lasted almost all day. I think he lasted through the evening before he finally sold out. I don't think he lasted until the next day. But he was around, he was available. So if you knew about it and you knew to place your order at the certain time of when it became available, I think you were able to get it. If you forgot or didn't remember that it was going up or whatever the case may be, I'm sorry that you guys missed out. But again, I think it was available for a few hours that day, most of the evening, and it's really a special one. The overall presentation of the carded look is amazing. The shipper box is awesome. Just everything about this figure I absolutely love. So I'm just really excited about it and to share with you guys. But you guys let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on this Venom figure. What do you think of it? Did you pick one up? Did you pick up a second one somehow? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.